empowering women. Now is the time for women to break the barriers of self-limitation. We can be far more than we have ever dreamed possible. See, we are women of power, and we can use our power to create a positive future for ourselves and for all women, in spite of the fact that each one of us here has been programmed by our parents and by society to think and behave in a certain way, to be women with all the rules and regulations and frustrations that come with being a woman. Some of us are very content to play this role, and many of us are not. Many of us are now questioning and rebelling against certain long-held beliefs. I want to share something with you that I found in a book called, it was a 1950s high school home economics book. And this is titled, How to Be a Good Wife. This is a perfect example of how women have been programmed in the past. Number one, have dinner ready. Plan ahead, even the night before, to have a delicious meal on time. This is a way of letting him know that you've been thinking of him and are concerned about his needs. Most men are hungry when they come home, and the prospect of a good meal is part of the warm welcome they deserve. 2, prepare yourself. Take 15 minutes to rest so you will be refreshed when he arrives. Touch up your makeup, put a ribbon in your hair, and be fresh looking. He has been with a lot of work-weary people. Be a little gay and a little more interesting. His boring day may just need a lift. Clear away the clutter. Make one last trip through the main part of the house just before your husband arrives, gathering up school books, toys, paper, etc. Then run a dust cloth over the tables. Your husband will feel he has reached a haven of rest and order, and it will give you a lift, too. Prepare the children. Take a few minutes to wash the children's hands and faces if they are small. Comb their hair, and if necessary, change their clothes. They are little treasures, and he would like to see them playing the part. Minimize all noise. At the time of his arrival, eliminate all noise of the washer, dryer, dishwasher, or vacuum. Try to encourage the children to be quiet. Be happy to see him. Greet him with a warm smile and be glad to see him. Some don'ts. Don't greet him with problems or complaints. Don't complain if he is late for dinner. Count this as minor compared to what he might have gone through that day. Make him comfortable. Have him lean back in a comfortable chair, or suggest that he lie down in the bedroom. Have a cool or a warm drink ready for him. Arrange his pillow and offer to take off his shoes. Speak in a low, soft, soothing, and pleasant voice. Allow him to relax and unwind. Listen to him. You have a dozen things to tell him, but the moment of his arrival is not the time. Let him talk first. Make the evening his. Never complain if he does not take you out to dinner or other pleasant entertainment. Instead, try to understand his world of strain and pressure, his need to unwind and relax. Now, there is absolutely nothing wrong with any of this if this is what you want to do. It's wonderful, but you realize that we were all programmed as to this is how we should behave. This is what a wife is supposed to do. This is how a good woman was meant to behave. Great for the men, not so great for the women. We also need to recognize that women have been continuously manipulated and abused by the advertising industry, the television, also the legal profession, and most of the churches. We have given our power over to these groups and have been living our lives according to what they have decided is right or wrong for us. And we cannot continue to respond like silent lambs, obediently being stifled and killed. It is time that we feel that enough is enough. It is time for us to individually and collectively make changes. Life comes in waves and learning experiences and periods of evolution. And we are in a wonderful period of evolution right now. For so long, women have been subjected to the whims and belief systems of men. We were told what we could do, when we could do it, and how we could do it. I know that as a little girl, I was taught to walk 2 steps behind a man, look up and say, what do I do and what do I think? But I watched my mother, and this is what she did. And her background taught her complete obedience to men. And so she accepted abuse as normal, and so did I. And it took me a long time to realize this is not what I, as a woman, deserved. See, this is a perfect example of how we learn our patterns. As I slowly changed my own inner belief system, my consciousness, and as I began to create self-worth and self-esteem for myself, the same time my world changed. And I no longer attracted men who were dominant and abusive. See, inner self-esteem and self-worth are the most important things a woman can possess. And if we don't have these qualities, then we need to develop them. When our self-worth is strong, we will not accept positions of inferiority or abuse. We only accept that because we believe we are no good or worthless. No matter where we came from, no matter how abused we were as children, emotionally, physically, sexually, we can learn to love and cherish ourselves today. If you think of where I came from with the abusive background that I had as a child, growing up in the Depression with absolutely no money, isolated from people, leaving home not knowing anything at all, and where I have come to today, if I can do it, other people can change their lives. Absolutely. As women and mothers, we can teach ourselves to develop a sense of self-worth. And then we'll automatically pass this on to our children. And our daughters will not allow themselves to be abused. And our sons will have respect for everyone in their world, including the women in their lives. See, no baby boy is born an abuser. And no baby girl is born a victim. This is learned behavior. Abuse of others and lack of self-esteem is learned behavior. Children are taught violence, and they're taught to accept victimhood. If we want the adults in our society to be loving and gentle and to treat each other with respect, then we must raise the children this way, to be gentle and to have self-respect. And only in this way can the two sexes truly honor each other. You see, I think that we could make tremendous changes in one generation if the mothers will unite, so that the next generation of children will be different. Self-worth and self-respect is the most important thing that we can possess, and it's the most important thing that we can encourage our children to have. Now, building up women does not mean to diminish men in any way. I think male bashing is as bad as female harassment. As I've said earlier this morning, we don't want to put men down, but we want to build women up. We don't want to bash ourselves either. That's a waste of time. This behavior keeps us all stuck, and we've had enough of being stuck, I think. Blaming ourselves or men for all the ills in our lives is a powerless act. It doesn't do anything to heal the situation. Blame is always a powerless act. And I think the best thing we can do for the men in our lives is to stop being victims and get our own acts together, because everybody respects someone with self-esteem. And when women get it together, we are going to move mountains, and the world will be a better place to live. I have great compassion for men and the difficulties they face as they move through life. They too are stuck in their roles and carry enormous burdens and pressures. Remember, from childhood on, little boys are taught not to express their feelings and not to cry. Now, to me, this is child abuse and torture. It's no wonder that many men, when they grow up, the only emotion they'll allow themselves to express is anger. And most men also regret the lack of a really good relationship with their father. If you want to see a man cry, give him a safe space to be and get him to talk about his relationship with his father or lack of it. And so often there's so much sadness comes up of all the things that might have been said and weren't, and how they wish that their fathers had told them that they were loved and valuable. But women need to know, to really know and accept and believe that they are not second-class citizens. We are not second-class citizens. This is absolute rubbish. The soul has no inferiority. The soul doesn't even have sexuality. Now, I know that when the feminist movement first came about, the women were so angry at the injustices that had been levied at them for so long that they got really furious and they blamed the men for everything. And that's understandable. That's sort of what happens. You need to work out your frustrations for a while. It's sort of like when you go to therapy and you're working on issues of child abuse. You really need to express all those feelings before you can begin to heal. And when a group has been repressed a long time, they go hog wild when they first experience freedom. However, when we're given time to express those feelings, and the pendulum then swings to a much more balanced point. And that's what's happening with women now. It is time for us to release the anger and the blame, the victimhood, the powerlessness. Now is the time for women to acknowledge and claim our own power, to take our thinking in hand, and to begin to create the world we say we want. When we as women learn to take care of ourselves in a positive way, to have self-respect and self-worth, then life for all human beings will have taken, including men, will have taken a quantum leap in the right direction. There will be respect and love between the sexes, and both men and women will honor each other. For a long time, women have wanted to have more dominion over their lives, and now we have the opportunity to be all that we can be. Yes, there's still much inequity in the earning power and the legal power of men and women. We still settle for what we can get in courts of laws. The laws were written for men, and they still talk about what a reasonable man would do, even in cases of rape. See, I'd like to encourage all of us women to begin a grassroots campaign to rewrite the laws so that they are equally favorable for both men and women. If we don't go in there and do something, it's just going to stay the way it is. Because if men are writing laws, they're going to write them favorably for men. Of course. I mean, that's obvious. You know, we have tremendous collective power when we get behind an issue. The collective energy of women united in a cause is enormously powerful. 75 years ago, women were campaigning for the right to vote. Today, we can not only vote, we can run for office and be elected. So I encourage women to run for political office. We belong in politics. It's an open field for us. And there are none of the restrictions of the corporate world. If we want to shape our laws and government so they're equally supportive of women, then we must enter these fields. And we can begin on the smallest grassroots level. We don't need a lifetime of training to enter politics. The political career is a very powerful place for a woman. Now remember, if you don't run, there is no way you can win. But if you do run and you win, I want you to let me know. Write me and tell me. Powerful women have fought many odds in order to get things done. Do you know that in 1935, Eleanor Roosevelt pushed a bill through Congress that said from that time on, every house that was built had to have an indoor bathroom? Until that time, that was not a law. And the wealthier members of Congress fought her like mad, and they said, well, if everybody has an indoor bathroom, how will you tell the rich from the poor? See, I believe we can all become women of power. For some of us, it will be making great waves in society. And for many of us, it will just be taking charge of our own lives.